There. I guess it
Yeah,
helps. I'm sitting here talking. I unmuted both of us, and evidently I didn't. See, that's why you have first billing. I don't have first billing. I made it the J Finn Rag show, and I'm the one that forgets to unmute myself.
I mean, I understand that technology kind of goes past, a lot of the boomers, but this is ridiculous, Ryan. Mute, unmute, make sure that there's sound.
Well, I went click, click, and then I'm like,
click, click.
My square's not, yours is, but mine's not. I couldn't figure it out, but we got it going. But anyway, this is a special deal that we kind of been talking about a little bit. We talked a little bit about it and kind of got sidetracked with a bunch of other stuff. And then I went, we got to get this going. Even after all this stuff is over with, I think it's something we kind of want to keep going. I think it's going to be a fun deal, and we're basically going to be talking about sports, but if there's something else particular that we need to go with, we can go with it, and it's going to be fun. This is on the Blazer Broadcast Network Facebook page, so we want to keep this cool. We want to keep this nice. We want to keep it PG-13, and everything else, but there are going to be jabs thrown at each other as he's wearing the Cowboys and I'm sporting the Super Bowl champions. That looks nice. Not only that, but then there's that. You know what? Okay, go 7. How many of you had in the last, 25 years?
How many of you had in the last 54?
Hey, what have you done for me lately? That's all that matters.
I know it's sad. It is sad. I mean, I was 10 years old. It was on my birthday. It was January 28th, 1996, Dallas Cowboys, Pittsburgh Steelers. It was my 10th birthday, and it's been 33 years, and in next 34. My goodness, it's been,
you know what?
It's been 24 years.
And well, if you think about it, the last time I had my favorite team won the Super Bowl was, I believe it was 79 when Dallas beat Denver in New Orleans with Staubach. That's when I was a Cowboys fan, because I became the Cowboys fan when they lost to the Steelers, because I love that silver and blue. I thought they looked cool. I love Staubach, and you get the guys in black, and you're just not liking the guys in black, and that's when I really, really liked them. And then I've made my point known after Jerry Jones, and even though and 1 and 15, I was still there until Jerry Jones.
Even though Jerry Jones has brought the Cowboys 3 Super Bowls. Look, it's just
Jimmy Johnson got the Cowboys 3 Super Bowls. Jerry Jones, all he did was make a hire.
Look, he hired somebody who he knew. Obviously, they played college football together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many people know that. They actually played on the 1961 Arkansas National Championship teams together. So he knew Jimmy Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
And Jimmy Johnson showed that he could coach. Didn't have a very good coaching career at Oklahoma State.
Look what he did in Miami.
Well, obviously, yeah, Miami. He only lost 9 games in his whole career at Miami, and he lost 5 of those games in his first year. So obviously the obvious hire for him was to hire his friend. And obviously, if they kept in contact. So if you hire your friend and somebody you've known for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, you're bound to listen to that person. Since Jimmy Johnson, Jerry Jones has not hired anybody that
he hasn't let anyone do the job he hired him to do.
Correct, because those coaches outside of Bill Parcells has not been a strong voice to say this is how we're going to do things.
And are you going to tell Bill Parcells he's wrong? I don't care who you are.
No, and Bill would leave. Bill would have left once Jimmy Johnson.
He'd laugh at Jerry and go, okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
What are you going to do now?
yeah, fire me. I'm pretty sure Bill had something in his contract if he fired him after a certain number of years that he's like, oh, okay, you still owe me $10 million. So it's like, you either let me go. So, and that's why Bill left on his own admission. I mean, he didn't get fired by Jerry. He didn't get fired by Jerry Jones. I mean, oh my gosh. And I just, these are the things, Ryan, that keep me up at night.
Yeah.
It's because when Bill left was during Tony Romo's kind of not his prime, but when he actually got into the game, started learning the game. And then all of a sudden they hire Wade Phillips and then they hire Jason Garrett.
Yeah.
And I could not imagine what the Cowboys would have been if Bill Parcells had stayed there 6, 8, 10,
and I can't remember
years.
who the quarterback was when Parcells was there. I mean, that would be a list I'd have to have. I mean, as they say, the list is long and it's distinguished.
It was Drew Bledsoe. It was also,
of course, who Parcells had in New England.
Mm-hmm. And it was also Vinny Testaverde. Vinny Testaverde was the for some reason, ever since Tony Romo was the quarterback when he kind of took over for Quincy Carter, they tried to get all these quarterbacks who've been in the league for 15 years as a backup. I'm like, okay, not really the answer. I mean, they tried to do the New England backup for Tom Brady, Castle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's
who also was in Kansas City and
who also was in Kansas City.
Well, and you think about Castle, the only thing Castle was at New England. Isn't that where he got the big name because he stepped in huge and all of a sudden he's going here and there and.
Well, he stepped in after Brady got hurt after the first game against Kansas City, and then they won 11 games. And it's crazy. They won 11 games, and that was the year they didn't make the playoffs. The Dolphins won that division. That's how crazy. That's how crazy that year was. But so they go on to win 11 games. They don't make the playoffs, and then he leaves. I think he plays like 1 year in Kansas City, signs that big contract, and then just like okay, we paid $80 million, and he was one of the highest paid quarterbacks at the time.
Yeah,
and then just like then nothing. They got nothing in return out of him.
Yeah, Castle was. They say the 15 minutes of fame. I think he had about 10 games of fame, and that was it. Well, and Cowboys, who was the receiver that had the big game in Kansas City?
Miles Austin.
Yeah, where's he at?
Oh my gosh! And the thing is, it's crazy that this happened. This seems to happen through the Cowboys because they had I go back in the 90s with Alvin Harper. Alvin Harper was a great slot wide receiver. He was a great number 2 because Michael Irvin was always getting double teamed on the outside.
Yeah.
So he made big plays. Now he wanted to make his money. Obviously he got his Super Bowls. Now he wanted to make his money. Went to Oakland, couldn't be a number 1. Miles Austin was a number 1 wide receiver in Dallas. Of course, he did have Tony Romo. I think he made the Pro Bowl. After that big game in Kansas City, I think he made the Pro Bowl like maybe 2 or 3 times. And then he left to go make his money because he wanted to get paid. And then he left. I think he signed with Cleveland, and he was never. He wasn't close.
There's this theme going on here with players, and this goes throughout the whole NFL. And this is kind of something that Kansas City is dealing with. They have the prime nucleus for back-to-back Super Bowl champions in the history of the Chiefs organization, and you have guys that are leaving, getting the money because now they have the ring, and they have that Super Bowl champion, in asterisks behind their name. The problem is the enjoyment of the game and getting paid the amount that you're going to be comfortable with and having fun winning. Is that worth giving up to make X amount more and be on a crap team that's not going to do anything?
You know what? And that's something that I've always thought about. It's because now you don't see it. For some reason, you don't really see it in the NBA as much. I mean, obviously you see it if you're a top tier player, but
well, if you're a buddy of LeBron James, then you're gonna go wherever.
Right. You want to go there, or you want to sign with with Golden State or that's where you want to go. But in the NFL, well, the thing is, it's crazy. To me, it makes a lot of sense because you have these dreams of making the Super Bowl since you're a kid. I mean, everybody. I mean, it's next to, I would say, next to the World Cup, probably the biggest sporting event in the world.
Yeah.
And you finally get a little bit of luck. There's a little luck that involves getting to the Super Bowl. And you're on a good team. And finally, after years of high school, college, you finally get on a team. Maybe it's your 8th year in the league, or maybe if you're lucky, your 1st year in the league, and you finally catch on to a hot team. You win. You finally get that ring. And finally, you have that title that no one can take away from you as Super Bowl champion. And then it's just like, okay, I've reached the mountain. I've gotten something that a lot of great pro Hall of Fame players could not reach.
Look at Matt Moore.
Matt Moore? Why are we throwing in Matt Moore? We're talking about Hall of Fame players.
I know, but he has the ring. Now, if he really, really wanted to, he could sit there and go someplace, kind of like you were talking about. He could go someplace and try to get the money because he's known as the great backup to Mahomes.
Oh,
that made the games. He could sit there and get another job just because of that.
Yeah, but I think as the backup to a great quarterback, you're not going to turn down that because it's just like there's no pressure on me. There's none.
Because I'm not going to play.
I'm not going to play. If I'm the backup to Breeze, Manning, Mahomes, Prescott, I'm not going. I'm not. I have no worry about getting in there and having to perform because these guys, A, don't get hurt. B, they're winning. It's like no one's calling for these guys' jobs.
Nope.
Now, obviously, I always have to be ready, but I feel there's less pressure. Yeah, if you're Matt Moore, let's be honest. If you're Matt Moore, how much effort, time, study are you going into the week during the season? I would bet he's not giving 100. I bet it's not 100%. There's no way it's 100% because hey, I kind of I just started some games. I have Patrick Mahomes in front of me. We're going to be up by 30 or 40. I really don't have much to worry about. I've been in this
Mahomes playbook, and then there's the up by 30 playbook.
Yeah, which is basically hand the football off.
Toss right, toss left, play action, dump off in the flat.
Yep. So I don't know. I think being a backup quarterback, being a backup to a great quarterback, is like being a backup catcher in Major League Baseball.
That's what once a week. You get the best.
Get it once a week. Yep. Or else you being a backup goalie in the NHL. Probably the best job you can ever have.
And if you get a chance to be on the championship team, hey, you get a ring out of it. What the heck?
You get a ring out of it. Exactly. Now there was nobody going to the Chiefs like, what do you want for Matt Moore? No one's asking. Nobody was knocking down the doors to get Matt Moore.
No, but he has. I don't know what, I could look it up and see what Matt Moore's contract was. I'm sure it was a 1-year deal for league minimum.
I don't know about that.
Right.
Yeah, I think after a certain number of years in the NFL, obviously your salary goes up. So your demand as a player is like, well, Matt Moore has been in the league, 4 or 5 years. So now he's at minimum, he has to get paid maybe like $2 million a year.
1.03 million
a year.
Backup quarterback comes to. Let's see. Breakdowns of salary cap figures. Just a 1 year. Unrestricted free agent in 2020. So his cap hit is $645, and his base salary was $1.03 million. So 1 year for $1 million after being a coach? He was a coach for a high school team?
No, who was that him? Did he come out of retirement? No, that was Ryan Fitzpatrick. I thought Fitzpatrick was Fitzpatrick was a coach for a high school team, and then with all the injuries happen, I think he got hired from the Eagles, right? You can't tell me that the Chiefs didn't have a single backup quarterback that they.
Well, they had him on his Wikipedia. I didn't know if.
I thought that was Ryan Fitzpatrick. I thought he had like unofficially retired, and then he came back and played in the NFL.
I can't remember, but he was off doing something, and Andy Reid gives him a call, and I think if I remember right, the story was he had to call his wife. He had to talk to his wife and go, "Here's what's going on." I'm sure she was like, "A mill? Get going."
Yeah. Now this is look, and I know, and Ryan, this is what I want you to do.
Uh-oh.
I want you and any Chiefs fans out there.
Now he's labeling the Chiefs fans, so it's not just me.
Okay, I want you to take the blinders off.
Okay.
We are not just focusing that, we have Patrick Mahomes, we don't need anybody else. Blinders, okay?
Oh, you got to have people. And I'll give you the perfect example. The 2010 Gardner-Edgerton Trailblazer football team. They had Bubba Starling, best athlete in the state of Kansas.
But in a long time.
If you take a look at that supporting cast, he had offensively, he probably had one of the best linemen. The only thing that he lacked, all he had was Alex Knorr for tight end, and he had Tyler Stubler for wide receiver. If he would have had a little bit more receiving, it would have opened it up more. But when you've got a senior that's running 4.3 40s, and he can get around the corner. I'll even go back to this. This is how dominant he was, Coach Diener. And we'll get back to the whole supporting here in a second. But the first play against Blue Valley West on the Wednesday practice, Coach Diener set up a play. They called it it was a thunder set where they take the two running backs and set them behind either guard and tackle on either side. It was thunder left. They ran a tight end off a slot or just kind of wing, just kind of a half step back. And they ran it to that side. They ran it one time, and Coach Diener says, that play is going to score the first play of the game. He goes, I guarantee it. And he was so excited. So I told Dave Webb, who was on the broadcast, I told him, I said, here's what Diener's called. He goes, really? I said, yep. So West gets the ball first. We finally get the ball, and I said, all right, Dave, here you go. Here's what we've been we've been waiting to tell you. Coach Diener's calling the touchdown on this first play. And what happens? Out of the gun, thunder left, get two seal blocks. It's either 2 or 3 steps past the line of scrimmage. Done. Now, but he had the support because he had Ryan Weber in the backfield. He had I'm gonna hate it because big guy, it's gonna drive me nuts because there's no way I should forget his name. But
quit thinking about it, and it'll come to you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, he had the support. It wasn't, the reason why ESPN came to Gardner against St. Thomas was because of Starling. The reason why everyone is looking at the Chiefs is because of Mahomes. Now, granted, he's doing things that no one else has been able to do in the game the way that he does it. But if you don't have Tyreek Hill, you don't have Travis Kelce. You don't have Robinson. You don't have Watkins. You don't have Williams doing what he was doing. You don't have, Bell doing the blocking that he's been doing. You don't have the defense the way with Chris Jones and everything else going on. You don't have the team. But I'll tell you what, they restocked off the draft.
Yeah, and I get that. Okay, so I mean, in my mind, why would you want to focus on offense? Because it's like, hey, if Patrick Mahomes can make all these players great, why do we need a running back out of LSU who can catch out of the backfield? Like, why? I mean, if Patrick Mahomes is such this great quarterback, why would they need to do that?
I think they're looking for longevity. But here's the thing that I want to make sure of. I want to make sure that the Chiefs don't fall into that same deal that happened when Dick Vermeil was here with Trent Green. Being able to average 45, 50 points a game, but you don't have anything for defense. And I don't want every game to turn into like it did when the Chiefs played the Rams when they were supposed to be in Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
54 to 51 or something like that. I don't want that.
Well, okay. Once again, that's when the Chiefs had statistically the worst NFL defense
Oh
at the
God.
time. They were ranked last in every single category. But I'm just,
Just give us one stop and we can win the game.
yeah. But I want people to understand is because Patrick Mahomes has been such this polarizing character
Mm-hmm.
since he entered the league. Look, I want people act okay. Like I'm going to get so furious right now
I love this.
because this gets me so worked up, and like it shouldn't. Because look, there are things in life that are important. Friends, family, faith,
Yep.
your health. There are things that are important. For some reason, maybe because I'm fine in my life with everything that I have, that I'm just a generally happy person. I just have to find something that pisses me off. This is what pisses me off.
Okay.
Is because people they act like Patrick Mahomes was the 205th pick in the NFL draft. And they act like he is like, oh my gosh, how did nobody see this? How did nobody
Now,
see how great of a
I will say this: I didn't see this coming. They went went up to the 10th pick to get Mahomes. I'm going. I can't remember who the guy was out of Alabama. I can't remember what his. He had the hot wife that was doing all the commercials that they drafted out of Alabama.
Oh, McCarron, AJ McCarron.
Yeah.
So
I thought I was hoping it wasn't going to turn out to be another McCarron, but it was like, okay, we saw him in Denver for that one game, and I'm like,
oh, you're thinking Brody Croyle.
Croyle.
That was the last. Yes, that was the last quarterback. Oh my gosh, that was 2008. And before that, I think the last quarterback the Chiefs drafted was like in the 70s. the 70s or 80s was the last quarterback they drafted
It was
after Brody
Blackledge.
Croyle.
Heisman Trophy winner Todd Blackledge.
That doesn't seem right because that seems like that was a big name. I thought the quarterback they drafted was this guy that I've never even heard of. Anyway, but people act like he was this absolute steal in the draft. Okay, it's like, no, he was the 10th pick in the draft. Okay, like I remember he threw a touchdown pass and he was walking off and he was like counting how many people were taken before him. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's only 9. Okay, you were a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. You're kind of expected to do things if you're in the top 10. Okay, there are 300 people drafted in the NFL draft. You are number 9. Let's quit acting like the Chiefs are these brilliant drafters and they took a guy that nobody else expected was supposed to be good. Obviously, he was number 9. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2, there are Hall of Fame players. There are great quarterbacks, past and present, who have put up giant numbers their whole career, and some of them finished with 0 Super Bowls. Some of them still only have 1. Okay, it takes a lot more than a quarterback to win games, and I have seen it so much. After this run by the Chiefs that Chiefs fans just assume it's all been Patrick Mahomes. That just and it seems like that's all people even know is number 15. Look, there are religious and devout Chiefs fans who can name every player on their team, and I know I'm friends with a few of them, and I know they're big Chiefs fans. I get it. Okay, it's like I know you can do this, but you keep talking about one player, it makes you seem ignorant. It just makes you seem like one player is and that's it. And that drives me crazy. It's just like I just and it's just it drives me crazy that everyone kind of forgets about the big stop that D Ford had in the Super Bowl.
See, you're like me. You like the ones that can actually sit there and think and give a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's Patrick Mahomes. They're going to win.
Yeah, see,
Okay,
it's
so
just
what about the other team? How's the other team going to stop? What's the game plan? I mean, but at the same time, me and you are different because we've been in this analytical stage of sports to where we see things, and I'm not saying that we're above anyone else or whatever, because God knows there's so many more people that know
oh
more
my
than we
gosh.
do.
Oh, yeah,
But
absolutely.
but we don't we look for the reason of why we're looking at this, and when we say we're worried about something, there's something we're seeing that's like, I don't know if this happens or this happens. It's a possibility.
Right. And of course that comes with having to analyze the game because we were both in broadcasting.
Hmm.
Okay. We both had to watch the game as a whole.
It's what we
And
do during the games on Friday nights.
exactly. Because in high school, and especially, in high school and small town and especially in small towns, grandmas, aunts, uncles, they listen to the radio because they want to listen for their kids. They want to listen for, their nephew, their son,
Hmm.
their brother. They want to listen to their name announced. So especially in small town
Oh,
radio, you try to announce every player. It's like, oh, that was a great block by number 55, Joe Smith.
at
Oh,
some
man,
point, get the
yeah,
name out once.
yeah, you want to say their name. You're just like, oh, and you want to try to mention and so you have to look at every single position. You have to, and especially when you have to do coaches interviews. Coaches interviews. I mean, you don't hear Andy Reid just talking about, well, we just had everybody else stay inside, and Patrick just threw the football around. It's like,
Hmm.
no, there's so much, and it blows my mind that people just forget what it takes. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that goes into a Sunday game. There's so much planning for each individual player. There's so many coaches that have to
Oh,
go, this is what this team does. This is what this team does. It's
that's why
just,
you have like a defensive coordinator watch the offense or the other team and see what they do, and vice versa, and special teams, and you're watching this and that. Now,
it's it's just, and then people's like, oh, we have Patrick Mahomes. We're just going to outscore everybody. Okay, let's look at Drew Brees. Drew Brees has not let the New Orleans Saints finish under eighth in total offense since his entire time there. Guess what? They've outscored a lot of people, but their defense has always ranked mid, kind of mid to bottom. The only time he ever won a Super Bowl when they were almost a top 15 defense. And even then, they weren't even super great. I mean, they weren't
hmm,
making huge stops, but they had a lot of great playmakers. And finally, when it took all that to meld in, and then obviously they got I mean, there's so much luck. There's so much luck. They had the onside kick that they had to get, and it's just, then they had that 2-point conversion that they had to look when that, I forget who it was. He kind of caught it and fumbled it. And,
Sorensen.
was it Sorensen?
Sorensen hit on the block punt, or
Yeah.
on the fake punt that Sorensen was the one that made the hit.
Yeah. And it's just, the Saints just had so many things go right for them on that Super Bowl run. And, and it's just like people forget what it takes to win a game in the NFL.
I think if Kansas City is not down by 10 three times in all three games and come back and win by that much, it's not that much of a story. That's what made the whole Super Bowl run as amazing as it was.
And it's and what's crazy as much as I wouldn't say I'm a Chief hater. I don't hate the Chiefs because they're not in the Cowboys division. They don't play the Cowboys every year. I have no, I don't have a reason to hate them. I'm just like I'm a guy who's a realist. I was like, let's pump the brakes. Let's give it time.
Hmm.
Even in that, I remember I was just getting updates on that Texans game. Texans were up 24-0. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is
What happened?
what happened. And I guess because I want to phrase this as much as because I said I'm not a hater. I don't hate the Chiefs, but it just felt after I remember watching after they scored that first touchdown with a long kickoff, 2 plays later touchdown. I had a gut feeling. I'm like, oh, this game is not over,
Yeah.
and it was 24-7
And when Kelsey scored that first touchdown, you just had that feeling.
Something felt like, and even, which is great because it's just like something felt like the momentum for the Texans is gone, even though they're still up 4 scores.
I'll
It's
give
just
you
like,
I'll give you 2 looks to compare. Compare O'Brien's look on his face during the second quarter as much as Shanahan's look on his face toward the end of that fourth quarter, and they're all the same. Like, what happened? Where did it go wrong?
and that's coaching.
Yeah.
That's not players.
No.
That's coaching, and Andy Reid is a better coach than O'Brien.
Oh God.
He's a 10 times better coach than him. And
Shanahan's never played the game.
yeah, Shanahan's never played it's just, and it's I don't know, and I still think the jury's out with Jimmy Garoppolo because there's still no one really.
He's going to have to do.
Just,
Garoppolo's going to have to do something next year
mm-hmm.
to prove himself, because now everyone was talking about, well, is Garoppolo going to go to New England now since he already knows the offense and everything else? If I'm Garoppolo,
why the
you got
49ers just paid me almost $100 million. Like,
yeah.
Why am I leaving? Why would I leave?
No, I get that, but when you go back to New England, that thought had to be there. But you take a look at what Brady did not have. What Brady did not have. He didn't have the weapons that he used to have.
I still don't think San Francisco's weapons are any good.
They had the solid running game. I don't think Garoppolo's that. Okay, let's put it this way.
Okay.
San Francisco by no means wanted to get into a shootout with Kansas City. And as soon as they stopped running the ball, that's exactly what happened. They got into the shootout when they went 5 yards on the first down and they go pass, that was game over. Because at that moment, they got away from the game plan, controlling the clock, controlling the ball, controlling the game. They got away from it. The best way to keep Kansas City from not scoring is to keep the offense on the field or on the bench.
Exactly.
And they didn't do it.
Yeah. But I still want to go back to that. Just Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't have the weapons, because outside of George Kittle, who's an absolutely all-world tight end,
they had 3 running backs that they were rotating in just to keep fresh.
And I understand that if you have good running backs,
mm-hmm.
but you're not talking about. You're not talking about steel. You're not talking about guys who, like, I want to go back to the Cowboys. Like, they drafted Tony Pollard out of Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got in to give Zeke a breather, it was obvious. And it was it was on. You could see it's like, this kid's got something special.
Yeah.
We probably need to put more things for him. And maybe we can give Zeke more of a break, because we still have one of the more dominant offensive lines in the NFL that we need to get this guy on the field. Like, it was obvious. San Francisco, they had that running back who I think he left. I think he signed another contract. I don't think he's there anymore.
One of them left to go out east, if I remember right.
Yeah. And so there you go. There was that weapon that you had that for that one big game in the playoffs, and now it's just like, outside of a really good defense, if you can't score points, it doesn't matter how good your defense really is. You need to put stuff around Garoppolo.
Now, I pulled up the list of the Kansas City draft picks year by year. You were talking about drafting quarterbacks and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Before drafting Mahomes in 18, or check that in 17, we're going down. Here's the quarterbacks they have drafted.
Okay.
In 16 was Kevin Hogan out of Stanford.
Okay. What? That wasn't a first round pick.
No, that was a 5th round pick.
Okay.
5th round pick. He ended up having 60 completions out of 101 attempts, 621 yards, 4 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Okay. So before that, they didn't draft a quarterback in 15 and 14. They went out of Georgia, Aaron Murray.
And he just came off that huge injury with his. I mean, I think he broke his ACL, so he wouldn't. I mean,
Yep.
yeah.
Before that, we go to 2011 out of Iowa, Ricky Stanzi, a fifth round pick. Okay.
Well, I mean, they're not wasting high picks, so I guess you got.
No.
I mean, it's a fifth pick,
Yeah.
so once again, Tom Brady was a sixth round pick.
So they didn't draft anyone in 10, 9, 11, 8, or check that. Hold on a second. 9.
2008 would have been, or '07 would have been Brody Croyle.
Nope.
Maybe it was '06.
That was '06. Was Brody Croyle.
And that was a first round, right?
That was a third round.
Third. Oh my gosh! Wow.
Then
Okay.
in '05, a seventh round out of Tulsa, they took James Killian.
Okay.
These are like unbelievable. It's like they didn't even try it, like they were so scared. Um, I'm down to 2000, 99, 98.
Yeah, because I think you have to go a little bit.
There you
Because I
go.
think
Out of California, in the fourth round, the Kansas City Chiefs take Pat Barnes. These
I
names are so. Another one from Stanford in '95, Steve Stenstrom. And that was in '95. And from Memphis in '94, in the seventh round, the Chiefs take Steve Matthews.
I, yeah.
And you
I mean,
you see where this is. Okay, in the second round, the Kansas City Chiefs take Matt Blunden, quarterback from Virginia. What
they
happened?
all they all can't be they all can't be winners. I'm pretty sure if I did the same thing.
Well, second round pick, he goes 2 for 9, 15 yards and 2 interceptions. There you go.
Yeah. Like I said, they all can't be winners, and I'm pretty sure
No.
if I were to look up the quarterbacks the Cowboys drafted, I mean, it would sound.
Well,
I
I can
mean,
do that for you if you want. If you want me to.
I mean, like I said, I don't know how much more you want to keep going, but I
Oh,
mean,
I've stopped that. I've stopped by then.
yeah, I mean, it would sound just the same. I mean, I know they drafted a quarterback this year in the eighth round, but of course, he's not predicted to do anything. Um, that's why that's why um, it's just, and that's why I almost think that Bill Belichick might be a genius. It's like he doesn't really draft quarterbacks because he's really not known to do it. He likes to sign guys who have played in the league a little bit, and then he brings them on. So it'll be interesting to see who they have start.
Well, let's see here if I can find their.
Who are you looking at?
I was looking up the Cowboys draft, but evidently I didn't. Anyway, yeah, it was long to distinguish, as they say. But the thing that I was going to bring up with Dak Prescott, and I was looking up some of the stuff that, and it baffles me. I only bring the Cowboys up because being a Cowboys fan. But how does Prescott turn down or think that he deserves a 30 million, or was it 30 million? He turned down a $30 million a year contract.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if he does that, then that's the reason why Mahomes didn't sign up, because whatever Prescott is going to get at Dallas, just because Jerry's going to throw the money out, that he knows he's going to get higher than that. But I'm sitting there looking at one. It said he's on the. They gave him the franchise tag, and I don't know. The franchise tag currently has Prescott under the franchise tag, a move that will pay Prescott $31.5 million this year if he were to remain on it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's well documented by now that Prescott is wanting a long-term contract extension in 2020 rather than just a franchise tag. Well, right now, dude, I mean, your stats weren't bad. 30 touchdowns, averaged 306 yards a game through 4,900. Very stout. 99.7 quarterback rating. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all well and dandy.
Hmm.
Ain't gonna do you no good if you don't get to the playoffs, son.
Yeah, but the thing is, I
Romo could do the exact same thing, and they'd put Prescott in the same realm of Romo.
and this is something that I heard from a sports commentator, and I believe this is one of the more truer statements when it comes to the NFL. The NFL is not so much about players anymore. It helps to have good players, trust me,
Yeah, yeah,
but
it does.
I think a lot of it now, because okay, look, all these guys can play.
Hmm.
All these guys can play. All these guys are meant to play in the NFL. These guys, they're all extreme athletes. These guys are all extremely talented athletes. They all can play. The thing that separates teams is coaching. That's what it boils down to. And
Pretty much.
and I believe Jason Garrett has ruined several Hall of Fame careers. I think he had teams that were absolute. Not only they were exciting. They were Super Bowl contenders. They lost to teams they should not have lost to. They there was just so many things. So I think it boils a lot down to coaching.
Hmm.
So I'm interested to see. And just going back to Dak, like I said, I don't know. I don't know how to feel, because when you compare quarterbacks in the NFL, I think outside of maybe Joe Flacco, I think every player that has won a Super Bowl is better than Dak. And I believe it's
Kaepernick.
Kaepernick never won.
Oh, that's right. They lost. That's right. My
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, he never won.
Thank
Um,
God.
every current quarterback now that's won, I think, is better than Dak. But I believe
Up
it's
until up
I guess
until played for Baltimore.
I said Joe
Uh,
Flacco,
no, before that. Uh,
Trent Green.
no.
No,
If I hear the name, I know it. They won on the defense side.
right. Well, like I said, any current quarterback.
Okay, correct.
I'm not going through the history of quarterbacks.
Okay. No,
Every
but I was
play.
just kind of seeing how far back we can go before, and that was about 2000, I think, some of that area.
Yeah, Trent Dilfer.
Dilfer, yeah.
Yeah. So every current quarterback that has a Super Bowl ring is better. I think is better than Dak, and I think there's that list, and then I think Dak is right there.
But how much? But how much is it because of personnel that he has? Because you have to admit, Jerry Jones has brought in people that are cases. They have
Yes.
talent galore.
Hmm.
Dez Bryant,
Hmm.
talent galore, but he's got a nickel brain in there.
It's just, and that's the
If
thing. It's
and I mean this in the sense that if these guys could say, "Hey, I'm a pro athlete. This I'm supposed to be I'm supposed to be acting like a pro athlete. I'm not. I don't need to be doing this stupid crap. You know, they just
it,
Breland. My goodness, Breland. He gets arrested in frickin' South Carolina with 3.5 grams of marijuana. Dude, haven't you heard there's a lockdown? You can't do this at home. Come on, man. Now,
yeah.
granted, I saw the video. It didn't look like it was that big of a deal. If he just would have put his hands behind his back and let the cop do what he wanted to do, it probably wouldn't have been that bad. I don't know if the resistant arrest thing was kind of all that, but you know, when the reports first came out, it was him and a friend were out and they were talking, socializing, and all they showed was the part where the cop came out and started confronting him. And then he kept looking back like he wanted to say bye to someone or talk to someone. And at the very end of the video, you saw he gave some woman a hug or whatever, which I'm sure that's what he was talking about. But come on, guys, you're in the NFL. You're
Yeah,
making how much money? Just dumb me up a little bit.
I just, it's, you know, I don't know. And that's the thing. It's, you know, I want to say
Kareem
that
Hunt, for God's sakes. The hell you
I,
doing with a 20-year-old with you going to a dance club? Dude, just
I didn't hear about this.
Kareem Hunt when he
Yeah.
got when he allegedly kicked a gal and to
Well, it was
me
on
just
video.
gave her
It's
a
on
good
video. He did.
good swift he gave her a good swift kick in the butt which she deserved. But
Well, she was.
why was
Yeah.
she even there to begin with? Granted, they were trying to get her to leave afterwards. She shouldn't have been there to begin with. You got to, it comes back. You got to use your brains, guys. Don't put yourself in a situation that creates a bad situation.
But we can't look as much as I want to defend players because we don't understand the amount of stress that they might be under, even though they're getting paid millions of dollars.
And all their friends coming up saying, "Hey, dude, you slide me a little bit."
So yeah, and it's just, and then obviously you have people. Look, number one, you're super famous. You're going to have people come up to you and try to push your buttons, just annoy,
Mm-hmm.
annoy, 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 and eventually, even people who get paid minimum wage jobs, they're going to flip.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but
There.
the only difference is no one's watching us. No one's going to have anybody on film pushing somebody or yelling and screaming. I mean, we're not on surveillance 24/7. While these guys are. I mean, there's always someone that is going to see a high profile athlete and just automatically just pull out their phone
Yeah.
and then pretty much have it on them the whole time. And so they might catch something. Of course, that is it's a security camp. Of course, if you and me were to get into um, maybe a pushing match with somebody in a hotel room, it'll show up on security and everything else like that. But it's not going to get transmitted to TMZ.
No.
No one's gonna care.
No.
So it's just, I don't know. Like some players, they can handle it. They can handle the fame. They can handle the money. That they can handle the stress and everything else. And some players, they just can't. They just can't handle it.
And that's where it comes down to. These kids coming out of colleges are getting coached by all these people with their interviews.
Mm-hmm.
And it's making it harder and harder for these teams to ask the questions to get bypassed all the coaching that they've gotten to answer the questions, and they're going yes sir, this sir, and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And they may do that the first year in training camp or maybe the second year, just trying to be on their P's and Q's and everything, and then all of a sudden they get one little bit of success, and now their heads are starting to do this. They're starting to get that attitude and that swagger,
Mm-hmm.
like they don't need to worry about this and that, and that's when you find out who's the ones that can handle it and who can't.
Right. And I want to go back to talking about Dez Bryant a little bit. Now, as much as people hated on him because they thought he was a crybaby and everything, people don't realize that he was just a competitive guy, and it wasn't Jason Garrett who had the reins on him. It was Tony Romo.
Mm-hmm.
I remember specifically. There's an NFL sound effects. Players mic'd up. Tony Romo was mic'd up during like a Vikings game. And Romo is just absolutely lashing out at Dez. And he's mad because he didn't run this route. You should run this, run this. He's angry. He's like, come on, Dez, you're the best player on the field. You're the best player on the field right now. Act like it. And Dez has his head down, just shaking his head like, you're right. You're right. Tony Romo had this guy under control. Now, when Romo leaves, now Dez becomes kind of a head case because it's just like there's nobody there to be that leader. And so, but I still don't think Dez is a head case. I just think he's competitive. I think he
can be competitive, but okay.
I don't know.
I look at it this way. Where is he at now?
He's a free
Nobody
agent.
wanted him.
I know. Well, he signed with the Saints, and then he signed with the Saints, and then his second day at practice, he tears his ACL, then he's done.
Yeah.
And if
I
you're a
forgot
wide
about that.
Yep, and then if you're a wide receiver, you have that kind of injury, and now all of a sudden you've been out of the game for so long, and
It's going to be hard to get picked up.
it's hard to get picked up now because you're like, okay, this guy has just suffered a knee injury. He's
Mhm.
another year older. And I know Dez has he's been trying to put out workout videos and showing that he's back in shape and he's trying to stay in shape. And he's worked out with Patrick Mahomes. He's worked out with Dak, and he's shown he can still do this. And he's trying to show that, hey, this injury doesn't slow me down anymore. I
Mhm.
mean, it hasn't slowed me down. I've had to improve my game because I'm an older wide receiver now, and still people don't want to touch him. And I think a lot of it still has to do with that injury.
You want to know the quarterbacks drafted by Dallas since before Prescott in 16?
Yeah.
Nothing in 15, nothing in 14, nothing in 13, nothing in 12, nobody in 11, nobody in 10. In 9 in the fourth round, they got Stephen McGee from Texas A&M. Nothing in 8. They took Isaiah Standbach out of Washington in 2007.
And they were trying to convert him to a wide receiver
Yeah, he
because
was
they,
just
they, 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 they had no intention to. Because actually I have the list pulled up too. 103rd pick overall. They intended him to be a wide receiver. They tried to do that, but he just never. Yeah.
and before that was Quincy Carter
Ugh.
out of Georgia with a 53rd pick. And
I
th- and th-
just
they really haven't drafted that many. That's only 3 that we talked. I'm in 2000. Was it 99, 98?
in the history I just saw it in the history of the Dallas Cowboys.
Uh huh.
They have only drafted 32 quarterbacks. The first quarterback they ever drafted was Don Meredith.
Dancing Dawn, turn out the lights. The
The
party's
party's
over.
over.
I mean,
And then
I miss the Howard Cosell, Don Meredith, and Michaels.
Al
That
Michaels.
Al Michaels. That was great Monday Night
Yeah,
Football.
yeah.
How
And then
about
they had
in in
then they
'91 Bill Musgrave?
yeah, it's just and the thing is and the thing I guess the one good thing you can say about the Cowboys is every quarterback they drafted. I mean, because I'm looking at the list right now. Obviously, Craig Morton, he went to Denver, brought them to a Super Bowl. That's when they lost. Um, they don't really draft quarterbacks that end up going to other teams and then end up being successful. I guess that's
Without
one good
looking,
thing. Hmm.
without looking, who was the last first round first pick the Cowboys had? Without looking, it was in '91.
So it wasn't Aikman because Aikman was 89.
Defensive
91.
tackle out of Miami.
Oh, wait. Wait, are we talking quarterback?
No, just
Um,
a first round
defensive
first pick.
first round though. Oh,
Now
so
you
the
got to
last.
remember they had they had three first round picks, a second round, and 3 third rounds. 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds. So this is all that time when they traded Herschel Walker and got all those trade draft picks.
Hmm.
So this was
So
so this was during the Jimmy Johnson era.
so the Cowboys had the number one
They
pick
had a
in
1-1.
1991.
They had a 1-1.
They had the first pick in the 1991 draft,
Yep.
and they drafted a defensive tackle from Maryland,
Yep.
from
From
Miami.
Miami.
Was that now? I want to say now a name sticks out, and I don't know if it's correct. I
The
want to
other
say
two, the other two number 1 picks or first round picks were Alvin Harper and Kelvin Pritchard.
see. I have a name, and like I said, I don't know if it's right. I want to say Russell, Maryland.
Ding 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 ding. The man's good. The
Yeah,
man is good.
yeah,
See, I couldn't tell you. There's so many names there that mix into my head and stuff. But
yeah.
the
And
thing,
I think he ended up being pretty decent. I think he
he
ended
was
up
all right.
being an anchor for
Played
that
100,
defensive line
played
for the Cowboys.
154 games.
That's 10 games a season. I mean, that's 10,
Who
11 games a season for 10 years.
who was the one that muffled the field goal against Miami in the snowstorm? Ronnie
Leon
Lett.
Lett.
Ronnie
No,
Lott.
no, Leon Lett,
Leon
not Ron.
Lett.
Yeah, you're thinking Ronnie Lott. No, Leon Lett.
Leon Lett. Yeah.
No, Leon. Which I don't. The thing is,
You know,
uh,
and here's
like
here's the bad thing about what we've been doing. I'll sit there and I have first take recorded, okay? And I hate it when they lead off with the Cowboys. Who the hell have we been talking about for the last freaking hour predominantly about the freaking Cowboys only because we brought one thing and it rolls over and it rolls over and it rolls over?
it's because that's what you get with America's team, man. They will
No,
always
they
be
are
America's team.
no, they are
Yeah,
no longer America's team.
they
Back in the
are.
day, oh Jesus!
They are.
Hey,
I I
win a
will
playoff game and then we can start talking, okay?
oh my
I'm just
gosh.
saying. Hey,
It's what gets you numbers. If you can talk about the Cowboys, it will give you numbers. Case in point, Dak's rookie year. Dak's rookie year, they played the Minnesota Vikings. I think Minnesota might have been 5-2. I think Cowboys were 7-1, or they were still I think they were 7-1 because they lost to New York in the week one.
hmm
So it was a Thursday night football game. Up until that game, Thursday night football was kind of being laughed at because it wasn't getting a lot of numbers. People weren't really watching it because it's like, how much football do we really need? People are getting tired of Thursday night football. After that game, which I don't know if it still stands because I think – no, that was because I was going to say Chiefs and Rams, but that was Monday Night Football. After that game, Minnesota-Dallas 3 years ago was
hmm
the highest rated Thursday night football game of all time. And if you look religiously, every year the Dallas Cowboys have the highest rated football game of the season. And I'm not talking about the Thanksgiving game. Because even last year, it was Cowboys in New England. It was a terrible game. It was low scoring. It was one of the highest watched Sunday football games of all time. The numbers are there. The numbers show that the Cowboys bring in a national TV audience. And and I don't know if it's TV regulations or NFL regulations. If Fox could put the Cowboys on every single week, they would do it. If CBS could put the Dallas Cowboys on every single week, they would do it. But because of regulations, you can't have what was it, like more than 6 games?
hmm
I think it's something like that you can't broadcast a single team more than that. And watch, New England this year will not be a third of what they were with Tom Brady, TV ratings wise.
I'm trying to look up. That's 20. I'm trying to find. Games are 41 to 50 watch ratings. NFL Roundup, NFL 100 season most kickoffs. I'm trying to find the NFL's most viewed. Let me see. Let's try this. Oh, come on. Highest rated NFL games. Because for regular season, let's see, 20. Wow. Oh, that's the games. That's points scored. I didn't say points. Anyway, Wikipedia's not giving it to me, but it's just. I think a lot of it is, it goes down to getting the big markets. Wherever the big markets are, where they can get the viewership, that's where they're going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you go to like with baseball, the small market teams are struggling because it's such a lot slower sport, and unless you're in New York, L.A., predominantly those two,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to get
Here's
much.
week 17.
hmm
Week 17. the highest rated game that week was the Sunday night football game between San Francisco and Seattle. Both double digit win teams.
Mm-hmm.
Both teams thought they were going to, it was like, these are the teams that were going to meet the playoffs. Probably the winner of this game is going to go to the Super Bowl. That was the highest rated game. The second rated game was Washington and Dallas. Washington, who had maybe 4 wins on this season, taking on Dallas, who had been eliminated the week before. That was the second highest rated game of the night in the NFL. With 2 teams who had their playoffs hopes were done.
Yeah.
The winner of this game didn't mean nothing.
And
the winner of this game didn't go in the playoffs.
How that happens.
Yeah. No, the Dallas Cowboys will continue to draw the largest TV crowd. If they're on TV, they are going to pull the highest. If they're not obviously not Monday Night.
At the same time, that could also be because they are one of the most hated football teams.
Oh yeah,
it's not because they're favored. A lot of people want to see the Nats get kicked underneath the dirt.
Oh yeah, it's not. There's no gray area.
The premier football, I think, right now for the NFL, they would love to see McAfee go up against Gruden, the Raiders, and the Cowboys. What kind of rating would you get off that?
McAfee.
Not McAfee, but McCarthy.
Oh, wait. Are you wanting?
If you're gonna look at ratings, what kind of ratings would you get if you had the Raiders and the Cowboys? Because I can't say the Las Vegas Raiders. That just doesn't.
Well, it's
You have 2 of the most loyal fan base and hated teams.
But this game happened. But that happened 2 years ago.
But if it was in the Super Bowl, it'd be totally different.
Well, yeah, but let's not compare. Let's not act like the Vegas Raiders are going to make it to the Super Bowl, because not a lot's been expected out of them for a long time.
And not a lot's expected out of the Cowboys either. So.
Oh, they are Super Bowl favorites every single year. You know
God.
it. You know it.
They had to win one more game in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and they couldn't even do it. They couldn't do it.
Yeah, beginning of the season, they're still Super Bowl favorites. They're still Super Bowl favorites. Were you doing choking? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. No, because
Jason Garrett. That's all I'm going to say. Jason Garrett.
Well, we talked about Garrett a long time ago. But I will say that with McCarthy there, it's going to be totally different. But
yes,
it will. To me, it will depend on the health of Carson Wentz.
No.
Giants aren't going to do anything.
No, exactly.
Yeah, Giants and Washington won't do anything. It's going to be dependent on Carson Wentz and his health.
No. Did you know in the history, Carson Wentz and Dak Prescott were in the same draft? Did you know that Carson Wentz has only beat the Cowboys 1 time in his career?
You could lose to him twice and still beat him overall. Still make the playoffs. In fact, let's see. Yeah, Philadelphia's won the Super Bowl.
I know they did.
With Carson Wentz on the team when he got injured.
Yeah, because they were riding this underdog mentality that everybody had sold them out, and so they rode that all the way.
Hey.
And Nick Foles, okay, take Nick Foles too. Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. Okay, that does. I mean, they had, like I said, they had that underdog mentality.
Not saying that they would have won it if Carson Wentz would have been healthy.
Right. If you and me could have quarterbacked the Eagles that year, and they probably would have still won. But then all of a sudden,
I could have managed the Royals in 15 and won the World Series, but that's another story.
But so then they win a Super Bowl, and then all of a sudden they get big heads and they start talking, and they think people care about their opinions, and they become super political, and then it's just like, and now they haven't won double-digit win game. They haven't had double-digit wins since.
No.
Okay, so obviously
you have a division that you go 8-8 to make it to the playoffs. See, and 0-8. make the
Oh my
playoffs with
God.
0-8. I was wondering how long it was going to take you on
It's
that.
just like 0-8. It's like, oh my gosh, that's right. I just and the thing that's crazy, like, and I think I told you before that game. So obviously people don't know there's a high school game. It was the Gardner Edgerton playoffs
Blue
last
Valley
year.
Northwest.
They played a team who was 0-8 and they were in the playoffs.
Week
And
nine
so
because Keisha changed everything that
yeah,
everyone makes
yeah.
in it, just like they do basketball.
So I noticed there was in a Yahoo article that mentioned a team that had won one game and made it to the playoffs. I emailed the writer and I told him
Say, hey, I
about
got one better for you, dude.
I got one better. I have a team that hasn't won a game, and because of Kansas high school athletic rules, they're in the playoffs. And he thought that was amazing. He's just like, that makes no sense. I'm like, I know, right?
Hey, give me a call. We'll do an interview. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, and it just oh my look, if you I think there should be qualifications like win a game. If you don't win a game, the number one seed just gets a bye.
It's just a bye. Yeah.
But how often does that how often is that going to happen that a team goes 0-8 and makes the playoffs now?
I'd have to look at the sheet, but yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
happen very often. Here's our problem. We've already gone 70 minutes, and neither one of us has taken a breath. So we need to figure out a way to get this to a little bit earlier time slot, to like 6:30, 7 o'clock if we can, a little bit closer after dinner and stuff. But I think this is something that we can keep doing. This is
Oh yeah.
kind of a good deal, and once people, and granted, I didn't promote it that much, and I'm gonna get it promoted. So if we can plan for like on Wednesdays, on a regular Wednesday, like 6:30, 7 o'clock or something, I think that'd be a lot better, and I'll get everything promoted, ready to go, and we can. We'll start getting a few more people, and we've had some people bouncing in and out, and I want to get a lot more communication with people and their opinions and stuff, and try to get something going. So I think this is something that's kind of fun, and I knew as soon as me and you got going about anything, this was what was going to happen. This is just how me and you are. So, and yes, like I said, you get top billing. It's J Finn and Rags.
and I just want to let everyone know that I could seriously talk and complain about the Cowboys all day. I could complain about them all day, and still I could complain about them all day and still defend them to death as well. So
Jared is the only guy that I know that I can read his mind with a sigh, because anytime he says, he goes, I know. There is no defending it. I know.
Nope. Yep.
But then he thinks, he goes, but there is this. So it's one of those deals. So
yeah.
I think we need a plan for like 6:30, 7 o'clock next Wednesday, if that works for you. Try to get it in your workout or get done so you can get your workout done, and like I said, we can get Griffin Johns. Try to get him in. We can get some other people in and just talk about sports or whatever. And if someone wants to join us, drop me a message and let me know, and we'll get you on, and we'll just add someone on here.
Few rules. I just want to point this out. If we're going to talk about sports, please be articulate with your debates, because once you tell me it's like, well, the Cowboys suck, anything that comes out of your mouth is just noise. It's like okay,
don't be a
why.
Facebook guy that just says, your team sucks.
Yeah, your team. I was like, no, let's have an intellectual conversation. Let's talk about it, and then at the end, let's shake hands, agree to disagree, and we'll be okay. Because once someone tells me, "Oh, the Cowboys suck," okay, well, you're a moron. Okay, I'll move on.
That's like saying yeah, Cleveland has a chance for the Super Bowl. They're going to go all the way. Why? Because they're Cleveland. Well, yeah, that didn't work out well for them, did it?
Yeah, just because they're Cleveland should be why they're not going to make it.
Yeah, but I have to point out again, right here. Yeah, just saying. Oh, and when you do that, then you get things that read like that.
Oh my gosh, it just
Yeah.
I have too many Chiefs fans.
It's a beautiful thing.
I have too many Chiefs. I have too many friends who are Chiefs fans because I saw it all the time on Snapchat. I was like, we're going to rewatch the Super Bowl. I'm like, oh my God, like how many times are you going to do it? And especially the area, just like, oh, Fox, Kansas City is going to read this. It's like, why?
Because
Why?
they don't have anything else live to show. Why not?
Very true. I guess it is quarantine. People are still inside. Might as well just show it.
And
But
and we're not going to get into the quarantine discussion. So that's going to
it's
do
almost
it.
over. It's
Yeah.
almost over. Everyone living in Johnson County. It's almost over. We
Oh,
got the
boy.
weekend.
No,
We got
it's
the
not
week.
almost over because they're going to stretch it out longer and longer.
No, shut your mouth. It's not going to happen.
I'm a
They're
realist,
not.
man. I'm optimistic.
I'm an
but I'm
optimist.
also a realist.
I'm an optimist.
Hey, I
I'm an
am too, but I'm
optimist.
a realist. So,
Nope, I'm an optimist.
but next Wednesday we'll shoot for 7 o'clock. Okay, we'll shoot for
We'll see.
7 o'clock, and I will
Yeah,
get it
we'll
promoted.
see what happens.
And we'll get everything going, and I'll do the promotion on it and everything else. And I knew this would happen, like I said. I knew once we get going, we could just without taking a break. So, and next time, not so much cowboy talk. We'll do more of the.
We'll try.
Yeah, we'll try.
We'll try.
Yeah. Hey, it's like a horse. When she starts leading to the left, you just got to kind of, okay, come on, back on the trail, back
Yep.
on the trail, follow everybody else.
Yep. And I'll be that horse. Yeah, you have to lead me. So it's like, no, let's get back on topic. Let's get back on topic.
That's how that works.
Yeah.
So that's going to do it for tonight. That's Jay Finn. I'm Rags, and we will see you next Wednesday. Yeah, okay.
That's my sign off. That's my sign off. The
your
Johnny
sign-off?
Manziel. That's my sign off. I'll just do this.
Manziel. All
The
right.
Johnny Manziel money.
We will see you guys next Wednesday right here on Jay Finn and Rags.